Hey everybody, welcome to the second half of chapter 6. Today we're going to learn how to solve radical equations, whether they're square roots or cube roots or fifth roots or whatever they may be. Today we're actually solving. So we're going to get a value for x. You might actually get it equal to something. So we're not just reducing them and understanding what a radical is anymore. It's time for us to apply it and run with it. So how do we use square roots and other radicals to solve? I'm so excited. The main idea, when I developed this, I like to think one main idea. You have to isolate the radical. Whether that is a square root or a cube root, it doesn't really matter. You're going to isolate the radical, or you're going to isolate the rational exponent term. So if you have, for example, a 2/3, you want to get that by itself. Then you're going to solve for your missing variable. And that is going to take you to Algebra 1, where you use your basic algebra skills. Although you might need to use the quadratic formula, which is an Algebra 2 skill. Remember these important things. To get rid of a square root, you have to square both sides. To get rid of a cube root, you need to cube both sides. And that doesn't look like a 3. Also, we're not going to, I always call this the cardinal sin of math class. When you're squaring a binomial, please make sure you write it twice so you don't miss anything. For example, if you have x plus 4 twice, make sure you actually write it twice. Don't try to distribute into a binomial. Don't try to distribute a square into an addition problem. Last thing, when you solve for an x squared problem, you may need to factor. And if you really hate factoring, you might need to use the quadratic formula, which works all the time. Problem 1. I'm going to try to do these problem by problem for you, and then I'll stop the video and then go to the next problem. This one is only going to have one radical. You're not going to have any variables outside of that radical, which actually makes it a pretty easy problem. So the directions are solve for x in the following radical equation. So here's the radical, and it is an equation. So first thing we do is get rid of the 3. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. That's pretty basic, right? So that's going to leave us with 2x minus 3 stuck in a square root. You say hi to my husband. Say hi.
Well, they can't say hi to me because they're not
I
here.
can.
Hi.
And then you need to, so our goal, by the way, is to untrap this little x.
Help me.
So to untrap that little x, we have to end up getting rid of the square root, this 3, and this 2. So you have to kind of work on the outside on your way in. So the next thing we need to get rid of, now that the square root term is isolated, it's time to get rid of the square root. And that way, 2x minus 3 can pop out. In order to do that, you square both sides. This is a good skill to have. That's going to give you, oh no, the children are coming. 2x minus 3 equals 25. So as long as you do one thing to both sides that are the same, you're totally fine. Now it's time to get rid of the minus 3. Well, now this is basic algebra. You guys should be fine here. Add 3 to both sides. 2x equals 28. Divide by 2. X is 14. So we had to get rid of the 2. So your main idea, you really have to make sure you get this check mark item, the radical by itself, and then get rid of the radical itself. So now it's time for us to check it. It is important to check these problems. It's also a way on a multiple choice exam that you can kind of cheat. So you can do 3 plus the square root of 2 times x, so 2 times 14, minus 3, and we need to get 8. So that's 3 plus 28 minus 3, so 25. 3 plus the square root of 25 is 5, and yes, that does equal 8. Yes, that is correct. The next problem will be more difficult.